Okay, in the second part of this lesson, we'll be looking at division length. In the first part, we looked just at the section titles and the number of sections. Now we're going to look at the length of each division. Now, remember, we're using different words here that both mean part. Section are the numbered, named parts of an article. For instance, section 1, introduction. On the other hand, division is a conceptual unit. In IMRD and IMRaDC, they may be exactly the same as the section names. But in IPTC, you may have several sections as part of one division. For instance, you could have a related work section, which is part of the introduction division. Okay, so let's look first at an IMRD article. This is the one that we looked at before, and you remember that it has 4 sections, and each of those sections is one division. And if you look at the number of paragraphs and the number of words, you find that over half of the article is in the results section. And this is common in science articles.
Similarly, in the Model 5 IMRD format, the third division, results and discussion, is the longest. And almost half of the paper is in the results and discussion division.
So in IMRD and modified IMRD, what we find is that the results or results and discussion sections are the longest, whereas in IPTC, it's the process division that's the longest.
My research article is a IPTC format, so I will show you example. You can see at the process divisions, they contain of 3 sections and they take a half of the paper. And right now, you may wonder that how do we know the number of the paragraph and word count? So we will show you now.
We're talking in this section about how to get a paragraph count and a word count. So we want to show you how to actually do that in a PDF document. Now, in this section, it's a little bit more difficult because you have a lot of math expressions. So how would you get a paragraph count in a section like this?
It's very easy. For the general paragraph, they will start by indents. So you can count this part as one paragraph. When the next you find the new indent, you count this one as seconds. But they have some special case when you find the next sections. For some format, for some template, they will have no the indent at the start paragraph is quite special.
Okay, now let's talk about how you would get the word count from a document like this.
Okay, the easy way is you just copy the, okay, for example, for this paragraph, I just copy this paragraph here, and then I just move to the Microsoft Word. And because Microsoft Word is provide a function word count here, you can select all and then click here, so you can get all the detail. But for some math expressions, the word count, Microsoft Word also count this one as a word count, so this may be the error.
Right, because here some of the expressions are split into 2 or 3 parts, and in other cases, if it's put in as a picture, it just doesn't even appear here and or won't count as a word at all. So depending how it's been entered in the PDF document, you may get different word counts. That's okay. We're just trying to get a general idea. It doesn't really matter the exact word count. We're just trying to get a relative word count between the different divisions. So let's again look at our penguin, the article that doesn't quite fit the expected pattern.
For this, we highlight the subsection related to testing. Only 8% is related to testing, while 87% is related to their process.
Okay, so now we've looked at the structure of each of your articles, but now we need to figure out, so what? Okay, so the question is, how does knowing the structure of your articles help you to read articles in your field better?
From my point of view, I think that if we know the structure well before we read it, we can forget that which part we want to read and what we want to know. For example, if you want to know the contribution of the paper or the research, you can directly go to the conclusions and testing divisions, so you can quickly get the idea. And if you want to know about the technique, how they do the research, what kind of the method they do that research, you just go to the process division. Yeah, it will be really fast. How about you, Wendy?
In my case, when I want to find some reference to analyze my data, and maybe I'll find the results and discussion part. And if I wanted to look some highlights in this article, I think after understanding the structure, and I can find the highlights pretty fast.
Okay.
In my field, sometimes we feel that we cannot find the testing division, but some part in the article they should be show up as experiment results. So we always find the testing division in the article of electrical engineering.
Okay. So depending on what you want to read, depending what you want to find how they did it, or you want to find the results, or you want to find the achievement, you can look in the appropriate part of the article. You may not have to read the whole article. Yeah. Okay. What about writing? When it comes to writing your own article, how does knowing the structure help?
Okay, for me, when I write if we know the structure first, maybe you can draft maybe my division is IPTC, so we can plan to write the process division first, because we already know all of them, and then when we have the simulation result and experimental result, we can put them on the testing division, and then we will deal with the introduction and conclusions later. How about you, Wendy?
So in my case, because we are writing articles for a specific area, so in my opinion, I think understanding the structure, that you can know how many details you have to put in the article. So you may not that put too many details that is not related to the field. So I think this is the good part. Yeah.
Okay, so you may need to include more details in electrical or mechanical engineering because that's really the bulk of your article, but you may not need so many details in chemical engineering because you're following other people more closely. And there's more emphasis on the results and discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know how long each part has to be in different fields.
Yes.
Okay, Nicole?
So in my field, we can also follow the IPTC. So at the first, I try to write as much as I can. And in the end, I just summarize which part I need and which part I don't need in my article.
Okay, so it helps you to decide what parts are important and what parts are less important for a particular article. Okay, good. Those are all good things, and hopefully the people watching this course will be able to learn and learn from your experience in that. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in the next lesson, we'll be looking at why IMRD and IPTC are so different. But for now, we're just going to look at how they're different. Remember that in IMRD, the articles usually have 4 divisions, but only 4 sections. And the section titles tend to be general. And the longest division is the results. On the other hand, in IPTC, you may have the same 4 divisions, IPTC, but often more than 4 sections. And some of the section titles, particularly in the process division, are specific to the research. And the longest division is usually the process division. So your assignment for this week is to look at your article and decide whether you think it's IMRD or IPTC, based on how many sections it has, whether the section titles are general or specific to the research, and what % of the article is in each division. And then put that information in a tight table and summarize it just like those in this lesson.